This video looks at the resistance machine section, and in this section it's very important that the client is shown how to use equipment very safely and effectively. So as you can see here, the instructor is starting to brief the client on what's ahead and is going through some safety points about teaching and instructing on resistance machines. So the first exercise here that the instructor is showing the client is the chest press exercise. So as you can see here, the first thing that happens is a demonstration, and can you see here the instructor is clearly showing the client how this exercise is performed. Now the demonstration that the client is giving starts off as a silent demonstration, which means that the instructor is not talking whilst the demonstration occurs, and then after that, after 2 or 3 reps, the instructor is then bringing in some teaching points. So the instructor will first of all say this is how you perform the exercise, a couple of reps just doing a silent demonstration, and that will immediately be followed by the continuation of the demo, but this time with some teaching points. This way it enables the client to focus on the demonstration and then listen to the teaching points as well. So it's very important that that approach is followed. The instructor will then show the client how to get onto the machine, and we'll go through any adjustments. So for example, the instructor will make sure that the seat is adjusted properly for the client. So the instructor is checking this now and checking the client is comfortable and the seat is properly adjusted. And when the instructor is happy, the client will then be instructed to start the exercise. So as we can see here, the client has hold of the bars and the instructor will now be encouraging the client to make a start. So as we can see here, the instructor stays very close, gives lots of teaching points, lots of effective coaching skills going on there. And note, what the instructor is not doing here is just counting reps allowed. That would not be an effective use of an instructor's time. Instead, the instructor is moving around, providing teaching points, providing motivation, encouraging the client, ensuring that their technique is correct, and that is a much more valuable use of time for the instructor. So the first set is complete now, and now immediately what the instructor is asking the client is, how was that? So the instructor is getting feedback. Now, of course, the instructor would not just say, how was that? Because the client would probably just answer, okay. Instead, the instructor is going into some detail, saying, how many reps could you have done there? Could you have done some extra reps? Could you have lifted a heavier weight? Was anything uncomfortable? Did you enjoy that exercise? Do you think that exercise is effective? So the instructor is gleaning as much information as he can from the client during the rest. What's come of the feedback there is the client has told the instructor that the weight wasn't heavy enough. In fact, the instructor asked the client on a scale of 1 to 10 how heavy was that, and the client only said 4 or 5. So what the instructor has done is increase the weight, and now it's time for set number 2 with that increased resistance. So the client now is still doing the same amount of reps, which was 12, but this time the client has a heavier resistance. And notice the instructor is still moving around, still giving lots of teaching points. And remember, a good instructor never stops talking and never stops walking. So this instructor is going to make sure there are lots of continued teaching points and motivation and coaching. And also note the instructor is moving around to get different angles, different views of the client. So the instructor can be sure that the exercise is being performed correctly. The instructor may also really encourage breathing here. Some people may risk holding their breath during a resistance exercise, so the instructor would encourage breathing throughout. And at the end of the second set now, you can see the instructor again is getting feedback, asking the client, how was that on a scale of 1 to 10, asking the client if it could go heavier for the next set, asking the client if it needs to be lessened for the next set. It could go either way, but you will not know this unless feedback is gleaned, and that's what you use the rest period for. In this case, there's about 30 seconds rest, and the instructor is using those 30 seconds to get as much feedback as possible from the client. Does the weight need to stay the same? Does it need to increase? Does it need to decrease? So we're into the final set now, and I think we decided keeping that resistance as it was there, and now there's going to be a final 12 repetitions here. We've chosen 12 repetitions as that's a nice number for a beginner. Of course, there is huge variation in terms of the reps you would give a client depending on what goal they have. But for the purpose of what we are showing here, 12 reps is a nice number to induct a client on. As you can see here, the final set, so the client is starting to look challenged and the instructor is moving around, giving gentle encouragement and coaching points all the way through, ensuring the client has good form, ensuring the client is breathing, and is making sure the client is doing a full range of motion there. So there's no cheating, it's a full range. And also notice the instructor is encouraging the client to do nice, slow and controlled movements as well. There's no banging of the weights. So the client has finished his final set now, and there's a 30-second rest whilst the instructor gets some feedback. So he's asking the client how the client feels on a scale of 1 to 10. Could the client do more? Does that weight need to decrease? Should it stay the same? Was anything uncomfortable? Did he enjoy that exercise? These are the kind of questions that the instructor should be asking at this point. And also this was his last set, so there'll be some more detailed feedback, because not only is the instructor reviewing that particular set, he's also now reviewing the exercise as a whole, so getting as much feedback from the client as possible, and note any changes for next time.